Tony East here with Forbes. We have to talk Pacers, Raptors. The Pacers lost their 13th of the season through only 22 games as they fall to 9-13. They're on a 3-game losing streak. And there's a lot to discuss from this game for many reasons. The atmosphere of the NBA Cup. The Pacers went 0-4 in the Cup this year after being the Eastern Conference darlings last year. Second worst point differential in the conference. They'll be thrilled that it's over this year after being bummed it was over last year. They got thumped again where their defense looked bad for much of the game. They had a dreadful first half and start of the third quarter in this game. Their spirited comeback was nice. They had some good stuff happen, but it doesn't matter. It's overshadowed by how poorly so much of this game, especially early, went for the Pacers. And the standout thing to me was, I already recorded Locked On Pacers if you want to listen to 30 minutes of analysis on this game. The lack of soul or effort or oomph or any energy or any ism you want to give about basketball the Pacers had in the first 15 minutes of this game. They started off okay. They were kind of hanging around, but they were having trouble with turnovers, right? That they were shooting efficiently enough, but they couldn't keep up because they were coughing the ball up so much. And they were down 27-44 about halfway through the second quarter of this game. Both those numbers are aligned. They had 23 points at the end of the first quarter, right? So only 4 points in that first half of the second quarter. And it was all turnovers on offense, and their defense stunk along with it. So early in this game, turnovers were the story. The Pacers had 4 in the first 3.5 minutes. They were shooting okay. They were making their shots. They were hitting enough threes, but they weren't taking very many shots because they kept giving away the ball. Some bad passes, some bad screens, some boneheaded offensive rebound attempts that led to, it was just a comedy of errors leading to these turnovers for the Pacers. Some you can live with, right? No team is perfect in turnovers, and some come because guys are trying to make plays or whatever. The Pacers in this one, just lazy mistakes, bad reads, disconnected play, leading to turnovers in a way that can't happen. And I'm not just talking about the first 3.5 minutes. After 13 minutes of play, the Pacers had 14 turnovers. It took them over a quarter to settle into a rate of less than a turnover per minute. What? That's embarrassing. That's terrible. That's pathetic. They could not get out of that funk, and the Raptors punished them for it. 23 points off turnovers for the Raptors. They did a great job of that. They play well in transition in general as a team. They gave the Pacers fits in that way. And it's not like they aren't a pressuring defense, but they don't play defense to the extent like they should be forcing the Pacers to turn the ball over that often. So it's just a brutal, self-enforced start to this game for the Pacers. And yet, despite all that, they're only down 8 at the end of the first quarter, and we're kind of in it early in the second quarter. That's a generous way of putting it, but the game was not a blowout. They were down 10 a few minutes into the second quarter. When their turnover stint got bad, they were still within 12 or 10. And then it just exploded open in the middle of the second quarter, not because the Pacers' turnover problem was killing them, but because their defense just collapsed. Giving up cuts, open threes. Scotty Barnes was crushing them. I mean, everybody was for the Raptors in that second quarter. The second quarter of this game, the Raptors had 34 points. They made 6 of their 10 threes, which obviously sounds hot, and it was, but they were all really open. 13 of their 20 shots. They were 7 for 10 inside the arc. They made both their free throws, the Raptors did. The Raptors had 6 turnovers in the second quarter. That's a ton for a team. And they still scored 34 points because they did well on the glass. They made a bunch of shots. They were all wide open, cuts, threes, drives, whatever they tried to do, it went in. RJ Barrett, 3 for 4. Ochai Agbaji, 2 for 2. Scotty Barnes, 3 for 4. All their best players who were trying to score were doing it. And Jamal Shed lit up some threes. Davion Mitchell did. Even guys who weren't typically good shooters drilled them because they were wide open, right? So much of the early part of this game was just about the Pacers. What are you doing? Kind of stuff. And that 27-44 score lingers in my head is man, that's a terrible start, down 17. Because you could say and you'd be right to say the rest of the way they won. They outscored the Raptors by 6 for the remaining, whatever that would be, 30 minutes of the game. They really stunk for the rest of the second, really did actually stink for the rest of the second quarter. And the early part of the third, they didn't turn it around until the middle of the third. But it's accurate factually to say that after that first 18 minutes where the Pacers were dreadful defensively and turned it over like crazy, they won. They turned things around. In fact, they turned things around in a major way, and I think that's actually kind of a negative in this game. The Pacers' third quarter was amazing, right? Their offense was sensational. Ben Mathurin had 8 points on 6 shots. Tyrese Haliburton had 12 points and 4 assists on 7 shots. TJ McConnell was a beast engine off the bench. Obi Toppin, probably the best quarter and half of his season, coming alive late in this game with baskets and hustle on defense and all sorts of just impressive stuff from Toppin, who's kind of struggled at times this year, right? That was the best the Pacers looked. Their bench came alive. They cleaned up the turnovers, only had one in the quarter. Haliburton was awesome most of the night except for the fourth quarter. All stuff that they would need. All stuff that they would describe as like critical to them winning games in their current funk. And here they come. 36 points in the third for the Pacers to only 28 for the Raptors. And then early fourth, they kept their foot on the gas. The Pacers down as much as 22 at one point. Slowly but surely. Chip it, all the way down to 2. 105-103 near the middle of the fourth quarter. And they got a stop on their next possession. The Pacers had the ball with a chance to tie or take the lead in the fourth quarter of this game. Their start was so bad, the Pacers never led in this game. It was tied at 0-0. It was tied at like 5-5. And the Raptors led the rest of the game. The Pacers had a chance at it in the fourth, despite all that. Tyrese Haliburton missed a 3. Raptors hit a 3. It was never close again. So that was how thin the margins were. But that stretch where they went from down 24 in the middle of the second quarter to down 2 in the middle of the third quarter proved it. Proved in this game that when the Pacers were focused on not turning the ball over, they could play well. When they were focused enough on playing good defense, they could play well enough to win. When their bench was clicking and not looking like a disconnected group, they could play well enough to win. They had the talent and ability to beat the Raptors tonight. If they just were focused and played their game and got the tempo up. And yeah, they were a little hot in the third quarter, but like not that crazy. Their defense wasn't that great. They just looked like the Pacers for 15 minutes, and they cut it from 24-2. And the cushion the Raptors had was too big, because once Scotty Barnes got a big rest early in the fourth, and once RJ Barrett got a big rest during the third, those two were ready to go the rest of the way. And they put it away for Toronto. So much of this game was this Pacers' dreadful start that they could not overcome, which is a huge bummer because they got some stuff they should be happy about. Toppin and McConnell together made a great Pacers second unit game. They have not gotten enough of those this year. Miles Turner had a nice game on both ends to me. I think that'll be an unpopular take among people who watch this game. Tyrese Haliburton had 30 points on the road. That was his third highest scoring game of the season, only the second time he's been over 20 points in a road outing this season. His scoring was great. The Pacers have been great when he scores that much. That was their first loss with him at that level this season. But a dreadful start, an insane number of turnovers, defense that was unfathomable at times, really cost the Pacers. Pascal Siakam's probably worst game of the year. All together means Pacers lose. A winnable game. It's their third loss in a row, 6th in their last 9, 9-13. They have to win some games, and they're not. They're not playing well enough for 48 minutes. They're not even playing well enough for 40 or 30 minutes in a lot of these games. They're falling behind in the standings. They've got to find a way to get it done. And we'll talk about it more after their next one, which is Pacers-Nets on Wednesday night. They turn right around with another chance after playing almost 40 minutes for a lot of guys in Toronto. Well, we'll break it down right here on this channel, Locked On Pacers, for a much longer and more detailed analysis of this game. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.